Hey guys, we are here live at PlayStation's E3 booth. We're broadcasting all week long, and today we're checking out, or right now rather, we're checking out Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I'm here with Jean-François. He's a game director from Eidos-Montreal. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
My pleasure.
And now this is a very special IP for me. It's a special franchise. Deus Ex 1, one of my favorite games of all time. Easily top three. Easily top three. And I have a lot of favorites. But I loved Human Revolution a couple years ago, and you guys are really upping the ante here on Mankind Divided. So we were talking before the show a little bit. Tell me kind of how you're propelling off of the last game. Like, what's the big area of growth this time?
Well, one thing that is important is that we have 4 gameplay pillars. We have combat, stealth hacking, and social. And it's really important that we continue to nurture all of them at once. But one of the things that we wanted to really focus on this time around, it was on the combat experience, to bring it on the same level of satisfaction as stealth was in the last game. Because when you were comparing the two, combat was a little bit lackluster in comparison. And so now we made sure that all the players who have this the combat play style in mind, now they have better augmentations to play with. We also revamped the control system to make it sure that it's very fluid to use the augmentations. And we have new things like the Titan Shield, which is kind of a big armor tank kind of augmentation. So you can go into the fray and you can take risks without fearing to be punished, like unlike in the last game. So it's one of the area where we wanted to really push it forward.
All right, sounds good to me. Now, it sounds like from a gameplay perspective, that's sort of the focal point. Tell me from a story perspective, because the story and the universe are so integral to the Deus Ex games.
Well, from the story perspective, it's really important to us to tackle some themes that exist in the world and everything, and hopefully that it can make people think about different things and think about themselves and all their own views about the world, etc. So in this game, we're going in 2029. It's 2 years after the events of Human Revolution, and now it's a tough time for augmented people, and they're being segregated. They're being put in ghettos. There's a lot of dissent in society, and we want to put the players in the middle of this and see both sides of the conflict and see how they think and they feel about that. But also we wanted to, in that context, we wanted to give way more choices and consequences to the experience, and making sure that every players will have different outcomes, a different experience of the overall experience. And so that was one of the area for the story, to really make sure that we're branching off as much as we can, and while letting you exploring the themes of the game.
So one of the things I love so much about the original Deus Ex and also Human Revolution is the fact that, in some of these games where you have sort of, branching stories, or you can make choices, it tends to unfortunately boil down into kind of good or evil, or chaotic in order, or something like that, which is still cool.
Yeah.
But Deus Ex has always been a little bit more a shade of gray.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about what some of those choices might be from like a broad perspective without spoiling anything.
Well, what you just said is key. We don't want those black or white choices, because in the end, it's not more about your own morality. It's more about, do I feel like playing evil, or I feel like playing the good guy? And that doesn't say much about ourselves. So me, I'm always trying to make sure that we're setting the stage for players to go, it's not about maxing my character, or just like I'm good or I'm bad. It's like, who am I? Like, how I would react to this. And that's the take we have on that. And without going too much in details, I said that we're in this world of a division and everything, and some people are portrayed as terrorists, some people are portrayed as the just and everything. And as you're going to go through the game, you'll understand that the reality is way more complex than what you see on the first level, and it's going to be up to you to see, like, what do I think about that? What's my own take on it? So that will be really important. So I'm trying to stay as vague as possible.
Yeah, you got my interest. My ears are perked up. Tell me a little bit about where the protagonist, Adam Jensen, like, where does he fit in at all?
Right. So Adam Jensen is no longer working for Serif Industries. We're 2 years in the future. Like I said, the world changed, and now he works for an international counter-terrorist unit and his goal is to stop the chaos in the world. But he also has a personal agenda. He's trying to go at the people in the shadows that are shaping the world the way it is, and the same people who they made that guy, Adam Jensen. And through this international agency, he thinks that he can get closer to them and eventually stop them.
All right, very cool. So, being a huge fan of the original Deus Ex, having all these sort of classic, like monumental, just iconic characters and organizations, like whether it's UNATCO or some of these other groups.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be, or are you guys planning a little bit of a convergence in a sense? Because, I mean, these games are set on a timeline that is before the original Deus Ex.
Yes.
Without spoiling, obviously, and there were a few nods in the last game. Do you feel like you're sort of setting the stage in some ways?
It's a very interesting question. And without answering too much in detail, yes, we're making sure that it's one unified world in which all the events of Human Revolution, Mankind Divided, they fit in the bigger picture, in the bigger world of Deus Ex. So absolutely, like there's a lot of the things that you see in the current games that are what is going to eventually lead to the original one.
Now, you mentioned that the combat experience is a little more satisfying. I mean, I certainly didn't think it was like well, you said lackluster. I didn't think it was deficient in the last game. It was still fun, but definitely stealth more the emphasis. It sounds like stealth still a big emphasis here if you want to take that route.
Absolutely.
And what, in a nitty-gritty way, like what are some of the options that I'll have if I want to take a more combat-centric role?
Well, now we have the gun arms, where Adam Jensen can have his own like lethal or non-lethal weapons concealed in his arm. And the way also we work with the controls, now just with hitting a button, you're able to use them on the go. So you can be shooting and do the 1-2 punch and go with your gun arm, things like that. And we also wanted to make sure that depending on your play style, and not just for the gun arms, but for the overall philosophy for the game, is that if you're stealthy, you can have now the means to be lethal and still maintain your stealth approach. And if on the same way in combat, if you decide you're not killing anyone, but you still want to be a combat player, you can do it now.
That's cool.
It has way more flexibility. In the last game, it was more kind of like if you were killing with a takedown, then you were stealthy, it was breaking the stealth.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't do that anymore. So we're supporting in a stronger fashion both play styles to make sure that you can have as much flexibility and as much choices as you want.
That's great, because I tend to veer towards, I'm very non-lethal whenever presented the option, almost any game I can think of. I think it's more fun for some reason. And then I tend to like stealth, but I get a little frustrated sometimes when I feel like I can't defend myself. So it sounds like you guys are addressing that.
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's cool. So almost out of time, but I am curious, because the game has such heavy RPG roots, obviously coming to PS4, and tell me a little bit about how you guys are approaching, say, inventory or character progression, some of those like nitty-gritty RPG juicy details.
To me, what is important is that you can craft your character the way you want. Do you want to be a jack of all trades, or do you want to be a specialist in one field or another? And it's all about making sure that the augmentations allow you to beef up your combat, your stealth, your hacking, your social the way you want. It's all about making sure that the inventory system allows you to collect a lot, but at the same time, it kind of encourages you to choose your play style, like, should I bring that loadout with me or something else? And you'll have to make choice. So for us, what is really important is to ask the players, like, what kind of Adam Jensen am I, and what should I bring with me? What are the kind of augmentations that I should develop, and things like that. So there will be augmentations, a lot of augmentations to play with. You will have a lot of customization for the weapons as well. You're going to have an inventory system that will let you collect a lot of things. You'll be able to craft some stuff, and you're going to be able to have a lot, but at the same time choose what you bring with you. So there will be there will be some limitations still. Like it's not going to be bar open.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with that too. I love digging around in those things, but always a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
You want that depth of gear, that depth of inventory. But
Yeah.
and you've seen games wrestle with this over many years, trying to figure out the right balance.
Yes.
So you guys are definitely thinking about that.
Yeah.
Well, I would say let's ask you one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. What is a detail that you're most proud of in Mankind Divided?
Well, just the sheer amount of details and the visuals, like when you look at the demo, like it's rich, like there's always something to look at. And what is cool is that for us, the show don't tell and the visual experience is as important as the rest, because it tells the same story as the rest of the game, but in a different way, and it's complementary. And if you're the kind of player that likes to observe and try to find all the little things, you can learn a lot about the world. It can also give you hints in gameplay and things like that. So what we were able to achieve this time around is amazing, and that's one of the things I'm really proud of.
And I got to think that next-gen hardware is really helping you bring it in a whole new way.
Big time.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, thanks so much for talking us
My
through
pleasure.
Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Up next, we are going to check out Rainbow Six Siege. You won't want to miss that one, so stay tuned.